If you're looking at buying a new construction home in the Boise, Idaho area, you're probably thinking it's the safest option, right? I mean, what could go wrong? It's brand new, there's no repairs needed. But after having helped about 100 people buy a new construction home, I have seen a lot. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through A to Z about buying a new construction home. Things you need to know that builders don't really want to tell you. Things about like the base price isn't really the true price of what you're going to see. Contract terms that are going to really lock you in. And a lot of hidden surprises that you need to know about up front before they surprise you. My name's Curtis Chisholm, and I help people relocate here to the Treasure Valley area. I moved from San Diego, California. I bought a new construction home myself, and I have a master's degree in construction management. I have literally helped build hundreds and hundreds of condos and apartments and houses, and I'm pouring that knowledge into helping you buy a home here. If you're looking to make the move here, reach out via phone, text, or email, and let's jump right into buying a new construction home here in the Treasure Valley. Now let's start with some of the pros about buying a new construction home before we get into some of those gotchas and big surprises you need to be aware about. Now the obvious thing when buying new construction, it is brand new, there's no wear and tear. It's like buying a new car. Personally, I like to buy brand new cars because I know all the maintenance history. It's brand new, and I've put all the mileage and the wear and tear on it, just like buying a new home. You know exactly what's been done. There's no hidden surprises. Even with getting a home inspection on a used home, there's things that maybe they come up on the home inspection like, oh man, like that was all the stuff I got to do to all these extra costs that maybe you weren't planning for on top of your down payment. So a new construction home helps to eliminate a lot of that, but I will get into some of the costs you need to know about that you may have to incur if it's not included in the price. Now, all the major systems are brand new on the home. You've got the biggest ticket items. You've got a brand new roof, brand new AC, brand new furnace. Those are really important if you're moving here to Idaho, especially that furnace in the winter time. You want to make sure that's working, and it does get warm here. So you need a good function AC. Your water heater's brand new flooring, everything's brand new. So that's all fantastic. And there's also builder warranties included. Now, builder warranties will vary from builder to builder. What you may find too is that some of the smaller builders that don't have a huge brand recognition out there, their warranty process could be really good or it could be really horrible. The tract home builders also are gonna have a mix, and I'll dive into those builders a little bit more into this video and what you can expect from each of those builders with the warranty process. But just keep in mind that builders are always trying to limit their risk, so they're always gonna tend to push back on warranty work. Now, new construction homes, you're gonna get the latest modern layouts, very wide open layouts, all the latest finishes like quartz countertops, and they're also gonna tend to have a lot of natural light in them for the modern designs that we all like nowadays. Versus a used resale home that might even be 6, 7, 8 years old, may not be quite up to our modern standards even now. They're also going to tend to be the most energy efficient homes. Every year, it seems that a lot of the builders are trying to make their homes more energy efficient. Now, each builder is going to have varying levels of energy efficiency. I'll touch a little bit about that later in the video as well. But generally speaking, you're going to have a well-insulated home that's probably going to lower your bills compared to potentially if you're coming from California. Now, you're also going to get some predictability with your move-in schedule. Now, we're going to talk about some potential delays later in this video. Generally speaking, you can kind of time it exactly when you want to make the move here. There's also no bidding wars, at least right now on new construction. Now, if the market really heats up, that could be a thing, but right now it's essentially first come, first serve. If you want a home, you put a bid in on it, you're gonna get it. And if you're choosing to build a home from scratch, then you can completely personalize it to exactly your taste. Now let's talk about some of the industry jargon you're gonna hear out there so you're well educated when you're out there walking communities with builder reps. They start throwing these terms around. It's important for you to know up front. The first one is gonna be what's called a spec home or a move-in ready home or a quick move-in home. These are all different terms describing the same thing. Typically what that's going to be is a home that's already completed by the builder and you can purchase it and move into it within 30 to 45 days. However, there are times where the builder will list these homes before they're completed. So it might be 2 to 4 months. There even are times where they list it before the home has even broken ground. So it might be more like a 6-month timeline. That was actually the case for me. I bought a spec home. They hadn't actually poured the foundation yet when I bought it, but it was about a 6-month process for me to actually get the spec home that I bought. The next one is gonna be what are called build homes. You're gonna hear that term a lot, which is a build home. It's a little confusing because if you're buying new construction, you might be thinking, aren't I building a home? Well, yes, you're building a home regardless if it's a spec home or a build home, but build home means it's a semi-custom build. So a lot of those more tract home style builders around here will offer the option to semi-custom build a home. So they're gonna have standard floor plans that you can choose from to get you within the ballpark of what you want. And then you can go through that with the builder and myself and the design team and work through exactly what you want in terms of structural upgrades. Like, do I want an office over here? Or do I want that to be a bedroom? Do I want a patio cover? Did I want just a 2-car garage? Or do I want a 3rd-car garage? Or maybe I want an RV garage, or maybe even a 3-car garage and an RV garage, right? Those are structural upgrades. And then design upgrades are gonna be what level of countertop do you want? Like usually a granite countertop might be included, but maybe you want a level 6 quartz countertop. Or maybe you don't want carpet in a lot of the areas. You want solid surface flooring throughout throughout the entire home, like LVP or engineered wood, or maybe tile in the bathrooms. So these are all going to be things that you can customize to build your own home as a build home. Again, that's going to be a semi-custom build. Then there would be full custom builds. These are going to be generally with smaller custom builders where you can completely design your home. You could even bring your own architect, or they may have an architect they work with, and you work through this entire design build process. Now we'll get into the pros and cons of those in terms of risk and costs a little bit later in this video. Those are the basic terms you need to know about spec homes, build homes, or full custom builds. Now you need to keep in mind that not every builder offers semi-custom builds. Some of the builders here, which I'll talk about in a bit, only offer spec homes, meaning no customizations. Now, when you're buying a new construction home, many of these builders will list homes on their website, but they're not gonna list all of them. That's where it's a good idea to reach out to me so I can get you that off-market inventory, that shadow inventory, because I have relationships with the builder reps to get all that information. And when we talk and get on a phone call, I find out exactly what it is that you're looking for so that I can then go out and basically collate all this information from all the different builders and get you the best options available to you from multiple builders. So you don't have to go do that all yourself. But when you're going out into these new communities, there are builder reps that are on site in the model homes, and they're wonderful people. I have great relationships with them all. But keep in mind that their fiduciary responsibility is to their builder, not to you as the home buyer. Whereas working with an agent like myself, I have a fiduciary responsibility to you. So they're not looking to get you the best deal. They're looking to close a sale today so they can get paid. In fact, there are some builders that pay out commissions to their builder reps when a contract is signed, not at the close of the project. Meaning, once it's signed and they get you on your way, they're really not gonna help you much anymore. Whereas other builder reps, and of course, buyer agents like myself, we're gonna help you through the entire process because for me, I wanna maintain that long-term relationship with you. And frankly, I don't get paid until it's completely over. Now, a lot of people think that if you just go direct to a builder without bringing in a buyer's agent to help you through this whole process, that you'll get a deal, but that's just not the case. I've talked with many, many builder reps around the town here, and none of them offer any discounts if you come direct to them. So there is no advantage to trying to work out a deal with them direct and take on the risk of trying to read these contracts by yourself and losing out on the best incentives available. And what's also crazy is that you are entitled to a third-party inspection when you're buying a new home, but most of the builders won't tell you that, and they'll never bring it up again because they actually don't want to have their homes inspected by a third party because it often creates extra work for them. So make sure that when you're buying a new construction home that you either advocate for that yourself or make sure that your buyer's agent is making sure you get that third-party inspection. Now, the other thing is that there will be various points through the project when you have the opportunity to walk your house and look for potential problems and make sure that things are fixed along the way. And it's really important to have someone like me who's literally looked at and punched hundreds of units to be looking at those things on your behalf. And if you're not even here, you need to have eyes and ears on site to make sure things are getting done correctly. Builder reps are not going to do that for you. Let's take a look at the different types of builders around here. Some of these are going to be grouped into what I would consider the more affordable builders, and then semi-luxury builders, and then luxury home builders. And some of these are going to be tract home style or really just single home style builders in multi-builder communities. So the more affordable builders are going to be builders like CBH Homes, Lennar, Hayden Homes, and Hubble Homes. I would tend to group those broadly in the same category. I do think the level of quality varies a bit from there, and they're going to include different things for you. And a couple offer build-to-suit type homes of semi-custom. Now, CBH is going to be your most affordable builder here, and I would say the level of quality is certainly improving over the years. But if budget is your number one concern, then I would really take a hard look at CBH. Now, they're only going to offer spec homes. You can do 0 customizations on a CBH home at all. So it's what you see is what you get. They are going to tend to be much more basic in terms of what you can get in the home. Your cost per square foot will be the least for sure in a CBH home, but it is going to be the more basic. Oftentimes you'll see laminate countertops throughout the homes. Not always. Sometimes you're going to see solid surface countertops in the kitchen, but maybe laminate in the bathrooms. In fact, I have a video called The Battle of the Builders where I go through a CBH home in particular, and you can see where I point those things out. You may or may not have a fireplace. The quality of the installs just aren't going to be quite as good. So long-term, are they going to hold up as well as maybe a Hubble or a Hayden home or one of these other builders? Maybe, maybe not. They do make really great starter homes if budget is your number one concern, and they make great rental homes as well. Now with CBH, you're also not going to get certain things like a backyard or a fence. You're going to have to install those yourself or use the credits they offer you, which often are pretty substantial, to put those things in. The next up is going to be Lennar, and I would put that somewhere between a CBH home and then a Hayden or Hubble home. They look really good, but there are some problems that I've seen come up with them, particularly one issue I'm going to talk with down at the end of the video that is a problem with a lot of the builders around here. So I don't want to single them out too badly about this one particular issue. I will just say that I've done a lot of punch work in Lennar's, and there's usually a lot that comes up. So long-term, Don't know how well they hold up. There are entire Facebook groups dedicated to just trashing Lennar, if that tells you anything. But that being said, I do have clients that have bought Lennar homes, and it's been a couple years, and they've been happy overall. And you're gonna get a lot more included. In fact, usually Lennar is running promos where they include everything, meaning appliances like refrigerator, washer, dryer, and blinds, and sometimes even backyards. So it just depends on what kind of promo is going on. You can get, again, more bang for your buck. Lennar has a cool house out there called the Next Gen Home, which is basically an ADU style home, like a mother-in-law suite attached to the home, which is a great option because actually ADUs are not that common in this area. So if you're looking for something that's a multi-generational home, they have a great product that's brand new. Then next up is Hayden and Hubble. I personally own a Hubble home myself. In fact, I own a Hubble as my primary and a Hubble as a rental. I also think Hubbles make a really good long-term rental property. So if that's your goal, ultimately, they also have some really great starter homes, and they have some really large homes that are great for growing families. Or if you're downsizing and retiring, you don't need a huge house. Again, a lot of great options there. Hayden, very similar. They're not gonna have as large of homes as Hubble. Hubble gets into the 3,000 plus square foot range. Hayden, I think, might have one option in that range, but less so. Hubble tends to include more. They're gonna include solid surface throughout the home as a base. They used to not do that, they do that now. They also include solid wood dovetailed drawers as the standard in all their homes now. Whereas a lot of builders, even on the high-end luxury homes, I sold a $3 million home that had melamine drawers, not soft close, whereas Hubble Homes includes dovetailed wood drawer boxes that are soft close. So really nice little quality touches that are definitely improving the experience for you. Hubble was recently bought by a large multinational company. In fact, when this video comes out, they may not actually be called Hubble anymore. They are changing their name soon. Now, both Hubble and Hayden do offer custom build-to-suit type homes, semi-custom homes. Choose your floor plan, choose your lot, build the home. The next kind of big tier of tract home semi-luxury builders would be Toll Brothers. They have made a huge splash in the Valley. They've been here for probably 6 years or so, roughly in the Valley. Early on, didn't have a great reputation, but in my opinion, I've been really impressed with Toll Brothers' quality overall. You gotta keep an eye on them, you gotta press them, but overall, really solid built homes. They use a hardy plank for the exterior of the home, so it's not gonna deteriorate over the long term. It's basically a cementitious type board that you can basically stick that in water. It's never gonna deteriorate. I think that's a really great thing. They also use a zip system for the exterior. So again, just really helping to keep this home nice and watertight. And then finally, you're gonna have multi-builder communities. This is gonna be places like TerraView or Stag's Crossing or Legacy. We have a lot of different builders in here. They're gonna be smaller, more custom builders, and they're gonna offer a mix of either spec homes ready to go that you can just buy, or semi-custom, pick a plan, build a home, or full custom build outs. Now, some of the timelines you need to be aware about are, as I mentioned, with spec homes, generally speaking, 30 days to 45 days, potentially 2 to 4 months if it's not built yet. With a semi-custom build, you're looking at minimum 6 months. To be honest, I've never seen a home completed in 6 months, but some builders will say they'll do it, but really 7 to 10 months in general, depending on the builder. If you're building with Hubble and Hayden, you're kind of looking more at that 7 to 8 month time frame. Toll Brothers, you're looking more at the 8 to 10 month timeline. I did recently have a client, actually it took about 11 months, and that was for actually what the smallest floor plan that Toll Brothers offered. So it wasn't a matter of the size of the home, it really had to do with the permitting process up front and how long that took to get through the city of Star, and that delayed everything. So we contracted in October and it didn't close until September, so actually almost an entire year. And if you're doing a custom build, you're probably looking more at a timeline closer to 18 months because now you have to go through a complete design process, permitting, and build timeframe. What you need to know about financing these is that if you're buying a home that's a spec home or a semi-custom build with one of the larger tract home builders, and even some of the smaller guys, you don't have to go get a special new construction home loan. You can get approved for a standard mortgage. By standard mortgage, I mean an FHA loan, like a first-time homebuyer loan, or a conventional loan with your typical 10 or 20% down. I'll touch on the down payment amounts you need to plan for shortly, but basically you put an earnest money deposit down on the home, and then once the home closes, then you put your full down payment amount in, and then have your typical 30-year mortgage. Whereas a new construction home loan, you have to make draws on that as you go. You have a much higher interest rate, there's a lot more risk. There are some smaller custom builders here who will require that you make draws all along the way. So larger down payments up front, and then draws along the way for progress completions along the way, meaning you're basically paying for the entire house throughout the course of the project. Usually this is gonna be a cash purchase or a construction loan to finance this. Most of the builders that I work with, however, so reach out to me to find out who these are, will allow you to finance it with traditional loans. You really have to put a small amount down up front and then close on the loan at the end of the project when you're ready to move in on the home. Now let's talk about some of these earnest money deposits and what it takes to actually start building a home. Now it's gonna vary depending on the builder, but generally speaking, you're probably gonna end up putting down somewhere around 2 to 5% of the purchase price of the home up front. We'll get into the weeds a little bit here. Some builders might have a flat fee like $5,000. Others are gonna say a percentage like 4%. Others are actually gonna be higher at 10%. And then when you go into the design showroom and you select all your upgrades and say you select 50,000 in upgrades, you're going to have to come in with an additional percentage of those upgrades. Again, each builder is gonna be different. It's usually somewhere between 25%, 50%, or 100% of those upgrades. So in other words, if you chose $50,000 in upgrades at design showroom and the builder requires 25% of those upgrades to go into escrow, you're gonna have to come up with an additional $12,500. So for example, say you purchase a $500,000 home and you have a 4% earnest money deposit, that's $20,000. Then you choose $50,000 in upgrades, you're going to have $12,500 that you'll have to come in with. So you're gonna have to come up with just over $32,000 up front in order to get going on that home. Then at the close of the project, you come in with whatever additional down payment amount you have, that a final 10 to 20%, and you can close on the home. So that earnest money deposit is part of your final down payment amount. Now, something you need to be aware of is that some builders tack on what's called a promissory note, and that is a 6% promissory note on top of your earnest money deposit. So there's some builders here that will say, hey, it's a 4% earnest money deposit or a 10% earnest money deposit, and then you have a 6% promissory note. So what that means that if you back out of the contract, the builder has the right to come after you for that additional 6%. You didn't put the money into escrow, but they can come after you for it and you have to come up with it. Now, some of the builders simply put it in there and don't actually exercise it, but some definitely will. So when you reach out to me, we can talk through who those builders are and see if you're okay with that or if it's someone you want to avoid. Some builders also will include what's called a liquidated damages clause. This is similar to a promissory note, but this is essentially saying that they can come after you for a certain amount over and above your earnest money deposit. And sometimes it's defined by a dollar amount. So say $5,000, they can come after you for that. Again, something else to look for in the contracts. Some other risks to be aware of when you're purchasing a new construction home is there's typically no financing contingencies and no home sale contingencies either. Every builder is a little bit different. Some will allow it, some won't. Some will call it a home sale contingency, but it's really not. So let's talk about the financing contingency first. That means that if you're unable to get approved for a loan, then you can back out of the contract, no problem. Some builders won't allow you to, meaning they can't force you to purchase the home. You literally can't get approved for a loan, but they will keep your earnest money deposits and potentially come after you for the promissory note. Now, with the home sale contingency, again, some builders will say they'll give you a home sale contingency. They're just saying, hey, we'll sell you the home and we know you gotta sell the home, but you're still gonna close on this home regardless if you sell your home or not, or we're gonna come after you for earnest money deposit. A normal home sale contingency in a resale home means that if you are unable to sell your home, you can back out of the contract and get your earnest money back. In the new construction world, that means we're gonna keep your earnest money deposit, but you don't have to buy the house. There are some builders that will allow you to back out and give you your earnest money deposit back, but not everyone. Now let's talk about some cost surprises that often come up in new construction homes. You think these should be included, they may or may not be. First up is landscaping. Now, if you're buying a spec home, a lot of builders will include landscaping if you're buying a spec home, a move-in ready home, but not everybody does. And if you're buying a build home, meaning you've selected your lot and your floor plan, you're building your home, usually a backyard is not included. Now you can pay to have it included. It's gonna cost you probably quite a bit more going through the builder that route than doing it on your own, but you can get included, but it's not gonna be included in the base price of the house. Now, what is typically included, if it is included, is gonna be really basic. It's gonna be what we call sod, sprinklers, and gravel. So that's gonna be sprinkler lawn with a gravel rim around the fence. Now, speaking of fences, fences may or may not be included. It really varies depending on the builder, and it even varies depending on what kind of promos they're running. Sometimes they won't include a fence, then sometimes they will. It just varies. And two more things to touch on about backyard landscaping is that typically there's not gonna be a patio cover included. Sometimes there will be, that's usually gonna be an upgrade. And or there's only gonna be a small 10-foot by 10-foot concrete patio slab included, which is basically worthless. So honestly, it's almost better to not have a backyard put in so you can put in your own backyard. But if you're really on a tight budget, you kind of want to get that backyard included so that you can finance that into your 30-year loan. Now, what I did when I bought my house, because I got a spec house and I had a 10 by 10 patio, I was really disappointed in that. And I grew up with a lot of concrete in my backyard, which is very usable. So I hired someone to rip that slab out, and I installed a 20-foot patio that went 20 feet out from my house and then wrapped the entire length of my property to give myself a lot more concrete and make it a lot more usable. So that's why you need to reach out, and I can walk you through which builders are including landscaping or not, and which ones are including fencing, which ones aren't. Also, sometimes gutters are not included. Now, I'm not saying there won't be any gutters, but there are some builders that will only include gutters where it's absolutely required by code versus what actually makes sense to protect the house. You'll find some homes where the gutters are only included over the doorways, like the garage doors, your entry doors, your back doors, and that is it. But there's no gutters elsewhere. And what happens is the rain comes down, splatters down on the ground and splatters against the house, and not just gets it dirty, it can ruin the siding, especially if it's that pressed wood board instead of the cementitious hardy plank siding. It can absolutely destroy it. So that will be an extra cost to you, either to put full gutters on or plan to replace siding down the road. Now, there will be some appliances included, but not all. Typical appliances that are going to be included are going to be a dishwasher, an oven range, maybe cooktop, and a microwave and a range hood, or it might be a microwave range hood combo. You're typically not going to have a refrigerator or washer dryer included. Every once in a while, a refrigerator will be included. Much more rare to have a washer or dryer included. Also, there won't be any blinds included as well. Rarely will a builder include blinds. Typically, they are not. So these are things that we can negotiate to get added into your contract. We're gonna have a lot more success with that if it's a spec home, because the builder's more willing to negotiate on the spec homes versus a build home, because they wanna get those off their books. And that's actually a quick tip, is that if you're looking for a deal, the best option is actually a spec home, because the builders wanna move it off their books. So they're willing to kind of wheel and deal a bit to get those moved. Versus a build home, there's actually a lot more risk to the builder. So they tend to be less willing to give massive incentives, but it really just varies. Sometimes there are larger incentives being offered. It just depends on the time of year and what's going on with that builder and how fast they're trying to move inventory. That's why you got to reach out so you can work through which builders are doing what to get you the best deal. Let's talk a little bit about timelines involved. I already mentioned the length of time involved with specs versus the builds, but some things you need to be aware of that can cause delays is the biggest thing is going to be permitting or material delay. Now, nowadays, now that COVID's over, we're not really seeing supply chain delays, but you never know, something big could come up and that could cause material delays to delay your project. That's why in the contracts, you'll see things that say the builder has up to 2 years to build a house. So that kind of freaks people out, because like, whoa, 2 years, that's crazy. Well, they're probably not gonna take all that time. It's just allowing that in case of a wild event, like a COVID event type happens, to give themselves time. The other thing is gonna be permitting. Sometimes it just takes longer to get a house through permitting because there might be a lot of building permit applications that have been filed and it just takes longer. So those are your two biggest delays. I usually don't see delays more than 1 or 2 months in general, but you need to be prepared that that could happen. Generally speaking though, buying a new construction home is gonna help you time things really well, especially if you're building a home. Now, something you have to keep in mind, you're building, if you have a home to sell, you gotta time all that really well so that you can make sure you close on your home you're selling in order to close on the new home you're building. People tend to get worried about that. There are some options that you can look at for buying and selling at the same time. The biggest tip I can give you is to start selling your home earlier than you plan. It may not sell quite as fast as maybe you're hoping for. It's better to have it sold and make them move here and rent an Airbnb for a short period of time and then move into your home. I know it's not ideal, but it can actually make it less stressful than trying to time the sale of the home perfectly with closing on your new construction home. Now, builder credits and incentives, these are gonna be all over the place. Sometimes there's nothing included, sometimes there's wild incentives. I've gotten incentives up to $80,000, $100,000 for my clients before, and everything in between. And usually there's a little bit more that they're not telling you about that we can get. And that's why you got to reach out to work with me so that I can help you get every last penny you can, whether it's the best incentive or getting things like appliances and blinds thrown in there for you. Now, something that you absolutely must do is a third-party inspection. I hinted at that earlier. Now, I have inspectors that I work with that I trust to inspect your home. I also have a background in construction. I want to be honest with you. I'm not going to crawl through your house under the crawl space and inspect your home for you, but I am going to go through visually and look at things that I see and point them out to the builder on your behalf to make sure they get corrected. The inspector's job is to go through the crawl space, go through the attic, and test everything to find any potential problems that are going to come up and get those fixed during the construction process and during your warranty period. You'll be surprised what comes up in inspections. I found disconnected plumbing lines, disconnected mechanical ducts in the attics, plumbing lines that are sloped the wrong way. I've even found complete areas missing insulation that were supposed to be there. And these are even from reputable builders, but sometimes things just get missed. And I've been told by some superintendents, they basically rely on the third-party inspection because they don't really want to crawl down there or up in the attic themselves. It's kind of the dirty secret of the construction industry here. You gotta get a third-party inspection to make sure you're getting the best home for you. All right, this next point is really important for you to know because it's a common issue here in Idaho, and it's gonna lead into the final big point that is the big dirty secret around here, and that is the drainage problems that we have here in Idaho. We have very expansive clay soil for the most part around here. It varies a bit. What that means is that water doesn't drain through the soil very well. You have a lot of runoff that happens, or it penetrates into the soil just enough and then it runs into your crawl space. So this causes a couple things. One, it can destroy your backyard because you have ponding water that just floods out your backyard. Or number two, it gets into your crawl space and causes mold problems. So let's talk about the backyard first, and this is gonna solve a lot of your crawl space problems, but it's really important to make sure you have adequate drainage back there. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of the builders in the past have not done a good job with drainage, and it's really come back to bite the homeowners and the builders. In fact, in my neighborhood where I live, fortunately, I didn't have any crawl space drainage issues. However, some neighbors did down the street. They ended up banding together and sued the builder, and the builder got in there and did massive amounts of work to rectify the problem, and they did. So that's fantastic to their credit, but it took a lot to get them to actually do it. This problem is not just specific to one builder. So that was Hubble. Also, I've seen it with Lennar. I've seen it with Toll Brothers. I've seen it with Boise Hunter Homes. And I've seen it with a lot of other even very reputable custom builders. So what a lot of the builders are doing now is they are installing a lot more drainage in the backyard, but even then you really got to look at it and make sure that it's draining away from the house and draining into the soil properly. And also some builders are preemptively installing sump pumps, or they're pre-wiring for sump pumps. So it's a lot easier to install a sump pump later should something come up. So this is something that is common here in Idaho. It's not something you're going to be able to completely avoid. You can install French drains and dry wells in your backyard. That's going to help. Some of the builders will just preemptively put those in for you. So that's something you really want to take a look at and be aware of. So again, that's why it's so important to have these inspections done, to go through and make sure there's no signs of water damage under the crawl space before you buy the house. Make sure that the grading from the house is proper and that things are draining well. But I just want you to be aware of it and not be shocked if it comes up, because it is a thing. It can be rectified, but needs to be caught early. So you tell me, are you looking to buy a new construction home? Are you looking to buy a spec home, a semi-custom home, or a complete build-to-suit home? Drop in the comments what you're looking to buy. If you are looking to buy, please reach out to me via phone, text, or email. We'll walk you through my process where we start with a Zoom call so I can get to know you and understand what your goals are in moving here to Idaho and what you're looking for in a brand new home. And we'll walk through the entire timeline, identify the best builders for you, the best neighborhoods, the best communities for you. So all you gotta do is reach out via phone, text, or email. Whether you're 9 days, 90 days, or even 2 years out, reach out. And if you're looking to dive in deeper, all you gotta do is watch this video right here. See you on the next video.